Hi everyone, my name is Lauren Castillo and I'm an author and an illustrator, and this is my workspace. Let me show you around. So this is my space. It's in the third floor of my brownstone here in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Nice bright walls. This is sort of my selection of author copies of books that I have created. Peeking out there in the back is a little hedgehog drawing that I created before I made the Our Friend Hedgehog books. And then back there is a Matthew Cordell ink drawing of an owl. Here is where I do the majority of my painting and drawing for my books. I have some books hidden in this corner. This is my secret picture book library. It is vertical, so I'll give you a quick tour. Starting from the bottom, we've got some drawers that house more art supplies, paints, what have you. And then if you go up, we've got lots and lots of books. All the way up. And of course I need a ladder to be able to get to the majority of these books, which makes it extra fun. When you have a small house, you gotta find vertical space to store things. And then here is the ladder that I just moved right over to that corner when I want to find and grab a book. So yeah, this is my workspace. Small, but perfect for me. I look forward to coming here every morning to begin my workday. The books you see right here are books that I worked with Candlewick Press to create. So Happy Like Soccer was the first book that I illustrated with Candlewick Press by Mary Beth Bolts. And I also illustrated a book called Yard Sale by Eve Bunting. A book called Imagine by Juan Felipe Herrera. And then most recently, and what I'm going to be talking about with you today, is This Is a Story, written by John Schu and illustrated by me. And this book will be out in March of 2023. And I'm going to share a little bit about how I made the artwork for this book in just a minute. I'll give you a sneak peek into what the book looks like. This is my first printed copy. It just arrived recently, and it's really fun to finally hold the book in my hands and see the final product. So yeah, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how I made the artwork, and I'll do a small demonstration to show you how these pieces were created. This book is about the power of stories and what it's like to find and read and fall in love with a book. And this little girl on the cover, who we like to call Greta, she doesn't have a name in the words in the story, but John Schu and I have named her Greta. She falls in love with a book about a seahorse, and so I have a little side story that isn't in the text about Greta's love of seahorses, and then you notice that the librarian gives her a book about seahorses, and there we see the librarian giving her the book about a seahorse, and she is mesmerized. The reason we know she loves seahorses is because, see that right there? That seahorse? That is a seahorse kite that we see Greta and her dad and brother going to the park to fly. And so after the park, they go to the library. And there you see Greta with her seahorse kite. She comes in with her seahorse kite, and she needs help finding the perfect book. And who but the wonderful librarian to connect her with just the perfect book about a seahorse. And we modeled the seahorse book in this book after a real book called Seahorse, the Shyest Fish in the Sea. So I actually used the book by Chris Butterworth and illustrated by John Lawrence, and with their permission, of course, drew that book into the artwork. And this is a beautiful book, by the way. But so this story is about children and all people connecting with their favorite stories and what stories do to empower, encourage, and uplift us all. So can't wait for you to read this book when it comes out in a few short months. Okay, next up, I will be showing you a little demo on how I create the artwork. Okay, so this is the original artwork for the title page in the book, where we have the little girl Greta receiving the library card from her dad before their big adventure to the public library. So I'm going to recreate this piece for us today to show you how I did all the original art for the book. Let's go. Okay, so here is the printed out line drawing, which is actually the hardest part of my process, is getting the drawings just the way I like them to be. And then once I print them out with this waterproof ink on my good paper, it's basically like all fun and games because I get to do all of the fun coloring to finish off the pieces. That's my favorite part. So yeah, let's get to coloring. So I use watercolor for the skin tones, and I start with that. It's usually done in layers, so I put down a base layer, then I go back to it. I often have a rag or a piece of paper towel that I can blot if I'm putting down too much color. So I put down some really light base colors, and then I'm going to be going over them in pastel next, once this is dry. The library card is a nice solid red. To make sure it's extra bold, I use one of my Tumbo markers to color it in, so it pops. Favorite paintbrush. That's where we're at so far. Next up is drawing the patterns on Greta's t-shirt. She loves aquatic life. And give her a fish pattern. One of my other favorite tools is my Tumbo ink pen. This is how I draw my sketches and even sometimes final art, the black line that you see in my artwork. All right, our little t-shirt is complete. Now we're gonna move on to pastels. Ooh, my pastel set. Pulling out the colors that we'll be using. Sometimes I use dry paint brushes to blend my pastels, like so. pastel softens the look of the line because I put the pastel over top of the black line, and it kind of just gives it a softer look. Makes it look a little bit less stark, I guess. Now, pastel is kind of difficult to use on these small images. You gotta sometimes use the little tiny corner of the pastel stick to make it work. Pastel can be really nice if you're doing like large landscape or background type art. The color that's most important in this piece is yellow, because I'm going to be making a glow around the card, around the library card. Brightens up this image for sure, and it also kind of shows the significance of the library card in this book, and kind of the power that a library card can hold for all of us. So then I might use my finger and kind of blend it in. Final piece then looks like something like that. Thanks so much for visiting my studio today. I hope you had fun, and I also hope that you will check out my new book with Schu called This Is a Story, and I hope that you love it. Bye!